I had a youth group kid tell me that we're all genitals. I said, what? And he doubled down. He said, yep. All of us in this van are genitals. I asked him to explain the reasoning behind that. So he stated, well, we're not Jewish, so we're all genitals. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Youth Group Chronicles. In the studio with me for the first time as a co-host guest duo, Pastor Chad Spencer and Dustin Coe.
This is gonna be
Welcome,
great.
guys.
I'm super pumped.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And I do have to say that this is probably my favorite combo.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't. Okay.
I mean, we'll see.
Dustin and I go way back.
Wait,
We're talking
17, 18 years?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
plus
Oh,
10
yeah.
years. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If you have stories that you want to share on this podcast, send them to us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. You might just get on an episode and featured here on the show.
Incentive.
Yes. So this is from Devin Coombs. Devin said, during summer camp one year, a guy walks onto the stage in a costume. He's doing something funny because everyone is laughing except this one girl that's sitting next to me. This is her first time at camp, and instead of laughing, she's crying. Well, the skit goes on, and I can't remember why, but the guy starts taking off layers of the costume. He was probably wearing like 20 costumes. The girl is now sobbing uncontrollably and shaking to the point where the leaders on the stage wrapped up the skit early because this girl was so quiet. My leader is able to calm her down enough for them to go outside. Come to find out, she's absolutely terrified of costumes, and this was her worst nightmare.
That's a thing?
Yes.
Is there a phobia? Can somebody like online somewhere find us the phobia for like fear of costumes?
Dude, that poor girl.
Found it.
Like, come on.
Funny thing is, it wasn't just one costume.
20.
This guy just kept peeling them off.
There's more. No! But like, I remember watching, what was it, Maury? Mm-hmm. Like just daytime trash television, right? And there was this girl who was like terrified of cotton balls.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, and then like it pans to like this dude backstage, and he's peppered with cotton balls. She breaks down and runs in the opposite direction.
That's funny.
That's wild.
I'm actually curious now, like a phobia
For costumes.
of costumes.
So
There's got to
this
be a
is-
word for it.
Trey Root has done some video work for the podcast. You guys obviously know who he is.
Yeah.
But he hates feet to the point of like he has a like feet phobia, right? But he put in a group chat once talking about feet, how he hates them, and he said he has a foot fetish. So he got the words mixed up, and we have not let him live it down.
He's like the sweetest kid too.
I hope you send like pictures of your feet.
Honestly,
so often
if I
and
have
picture
not,
it
but
over.
I should start. That
My feet are
would
gnarly.
make my
I'm gonna
day.
have to.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because then you could post them somewhere and make money off your toes. So probably shouldn't do that.
This is another email submission. This is from Blake Chambers. Blake said, "This is one of my most awkward youth ministry moments. I have been on staff as a youth administration pastor for just under 2 months at this point. And the night of our Christmas party, one kid had a metal popcorn tub. This boy doesn't come to youth group except for our big parties, and he was walking around with a popcorn tin in his shirt saying he was pregnant, asking for people to feel the baby. He walks up to me, and I feel it through his shirt, and the words I utter out of my mouth so quickly and innocently somehow became very inappropriate as they left my mouth. I felt it under his shirt, and I said, 'Oh, it's hard. It must be a boy.'"
Why?
Oh my god! Like I need to know how he said it though. Like was it like in this typical like, "Oh, what are you expecting?" Like, "Oh, it must be hard. Must be a boy." What a creep, dude!
Oh man,
He didn't know what he was saying. He said he was innocently at first, but oh well.
we've all done it, right? When you have a sentence and at the
It's
end of the
halfway out
sentence,
of your mouth
yeah,
when
and
you
you're
say
like,
it.
"Oh, this is so wrong. Everything about it," but it's just too late to turn back.
That kid's kind of a creeper though.
Oh yeah, definitely a weirdo.
Like he only comes to the big parties, and he shows up this time, and he's like, "Oh, this is my moment to shine."
Right.
Literally.
Like I'm picturing like, you know, those like tri-cut popcorn big
Yeah.
metal
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
at
yeah.
Christmas.
It was
like
one
a
of those
giant
lids.
one, right?
Yeah. It was either the lid or the tub. So this is funny. My wife, before we had kids, we were out back. I was out in the garden or something, and she put like a big bowl under her shirt and was like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And she was like trying to like, obviously not trick me, but joke around, right? Anyway, because her stomach was protruding so much, she couldn't see where she was stepping, and she stepped on a nail. Oh. And it was like all in the time that she was like trying to be funny. So she was like laughing / like in pain. It was like you would have had to be there, but it was like very funny.
I can see Sierra doing that though.
Yes, she's okay. For those listening, she's fine.
Oh, great.
And she has, how do you say it? Bared children? Born children?
Born children?
Born? Okay.
Bored, bared.
There you go.
You did adult
Bored.
things and you have kids.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Proud of you.
Married adult things.
Yeah.
Married adult things.
This is an email submission from Chris Dye. He said, I take our youth group students camping and whitewater rafting every summer, and this trip seemed doomed from the start. There was rain forecasted. I only ended up taking a small group, and my regular troop of volunteers had tapped out. I was hopeful about the rafting because it's even more fun when it's raining. I wasn't worried so much about the rain because we had gotten set up before we got hit. So like our campsite, we had gotten set up. What I didn't account for was that we were sharing a campsite with a group of hard partiers because it had never happened before in the 10 years that we'd used this campsite.
Hard partiers.
We rafted and tubed the river, and our crew was pretty tired when it was time for bed. However, the other campsite of about 8 intoxicated people were just getting cranked up. They weren't overly loud for the most part, except for the couple having the loudest sex I or any of our students have ever heard.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not. That's bad. That's bad.
But see, like, that's not even the youth pastor's fault.
Yeah.
No,
He
not
does
his
it
fault,
every
but
year.
it's hilarious.
It's an annual thing.
Yes.
And
Like your youngest kid, like 14 years old.
Well, he said, listen to this. He said, we had stacked hammocks, and I had an 11th grade boy above me whisper to me after 20 minutes. He said, old girl is having a good time, ain't she? His dad, one of the new chaperones on the trip, was in the tent next to us, and he whispered back, I'm pretty sure the loud one's the guy.
You hear high-pitched squealing.
babe, slow down.
The thing is, like, tents have no
None.
insulation of
Whatsoever.
sound.
None.
Like, there is, you hear everything.
Yep.
And I don't think they cared.
Nope.
But I just, like, why did they even stay?
They were all in bed at this point.
Don't you just, like...
There was another part of the story. He said, like, a lot of the kids were asleep, so he was just, like, hoping that no one really noticed,
Yeah,
but
nobody-
some did.
But then
The animal, like, moaning in the woods.
out of nowhere, she's having a pretty good time, you think? It's the guy.
Yes. This is from Juan. Juan said,
Juan.
my most embarrassing youth ministry story happened at a church camp. Long story short, we were playing a game where there's a lion out hunting the campers, and they had to get from point A to point B safely. At the end of the game, I get on stage to announce that the game is over. I made up a story how the lion had been caught by the wildlife rangers and that they were going to euthanize it. Except in front of all the students, I said they're going to sodomize it. Multiple times into a microphone in a room full of junior high students.
They died. They died.
How do you screw that up? They don't even sound the same.
Not
The
same
words don't
meaning.
even sound the
IZE
same.
at the end, that's all I can think of.
Eyes it. Yeah. The eyes did all right.
Hey, you guys, don't worry. They sodomized the lion.
Dude, I could just see, like, every single person in the world just dying.
Yes.
That
They-
lion sure got what was coming to him.
This is from Adrian. Adrian said, I innocently took my 6th graders from youth group to a corn maze as a team building exercise. But without me knowing it, it turns out it was a haunted corn maze for ages 16 and up.
Naturally. Yeah.
After about 4 minutes, the kids are crying and we're all lost while also getting chased by little girls dressed as dolls and men with chainsaws.
No way.
That was a fun call to the parents.
That is literally my worst nightmare.
Is it really?
Like those creepy porcelain dolls chasing me through the corn? No.
Imagine you as a youth leader, though, going to that thinking it's a maze, and then you having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
As well as like 15 kids.
2,000% that would have happened.
Everybody's just running and crying. And then, again, not to pick on the homeschool kid, but they've never seen anything like this. It
end
is
of the
the
world.
worst thing they've ever experienced.
Oh my gosh. See, like
They're
when I
scarred for life.
like when I was a teen and like I wasn't like serving the Lord. Like I watched scary movies, like I was super into it, but like the thing that I wouldn't would not watch porcelain doll creepy stuff.
Yo, anything like,
It's like that head peeking up.
horror
Yeah.
movie, I can't do it. Even like borderline thriller movies that are like, they're not a horror movie, but like they still make you jump a lot.
Yeah.
I can't do them. Like I'll do like shoot people up all day. I don't care. But like things that are intentionally there to scare me, I hate them. So I would have been right with it with you. This is from Christopher. Christopher said, "Here's my most embarrassing youth ministry story.
Christopher.
When I was in high school, I hosted a bonfire at my parents' place for the school program I was in. It was a good time and a bunch of people showed up. Fast forward years later, I ran into one of the leaders from that program, and during our conversation, she brought up that my bonfire from years earlier was a night that she would never forget. Later that day, I was preaching to my youth group, and I made a point about lasting impacts that you can make. I said, even this morning, I had a girl from high school tell me thanks for giving her a night that she'd never forget.
Oh, jeez.
I said this without any context and then moved on. I didn't even realize what I said until after I was done preaching.
The first episode that I was on with Mindy, I was like, we need context. And it's not just for stories.
No, that's so
context
good.
saves lives.
Man, no, this is what this show's all about. Lack of context. This is what it's all about right here.
You know what? I concede that's fair.
It makes it more fun.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this and you have a story that has come to mind, email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. You might just be featured on the show. You don't have to be a youth pastor. You could be someone in youth ministry that's a volunteer. You could have a story come to mind from when you were a kid in youth group. All of the above have been featured on the show.
Send them, please.
Please. I've said this over and over again, but when the stories are no longer coming in, that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
So for those who have sent in stories, thank you. Robert said, I invited all the parents to our youth night, and somehow an explicit hip-hop music song started playing throughout the Connect Center and auditorium while everyone was in there.
Good.
Love it.
What song?
Doesn't say. However, that story has been on the show many, many times.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we could just take some notes for all of the future youth leaders and current youth leaders, right? Pay for the higher level subscription.
Yes.
For your audio.
Yes.
Right? Like if it's Spotify or Apple, whatever.
Spotify
just pay
Premium.
for it
Yep.
so you don't have
Lesson learned.
the ads. Right? And don't let a teenager anywhere near the sound controls.
Also,
and the song
don't let
choices.
the media team pick out like a song. Yeah, I feel like that's a lesson learned too. Like, hey, throw up this video real quick. Yeah, it's always the wrong video.
No, you know what the worst thing is? Even in our church years ago, there was some really nice guy on the sound and media team, and you'd always be like, "Man, can somebody just put up music for the background?" Right? This man put on "I Could Only Imagine." Every single time. I think I
The
listened
same
to
song every single time.
Like the slowest, saddest,
I could
right?
only imagine.
Exactly. But like every single Sunday morning, like 6 times.
Good.
It was like the start of his playlist.
Yeah.
So I don't know
jamming out.
why. I mean, I do know why. I cannot stand that song. Like the message is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Except when I was a kid, the chiropractor that we went to every single week, that was a song that just happened to be on. And the smell of the chiropractor's office always made me like slightly nauseous. I don't know, it was a cleaner they were using.
Yeah.
So now when I hear that song, that like feeling comes back. So
Yeah.
I feel like a little
I can only imagine.
So I can't listen to it.
So
I
it's
cannot
the
listen to it.
opening line. I can only imagine saying beautifully. Then there's Sam in the corner.
Like the costume girl shaking in the corner.
Corey said, a couple months ago, one of my youth group students who was on the spectrum requested prayer during our prayer time for the people in Tacoma, Washington that had been involved in a horrible bridge collapse.
Wow.
And many people were probably dead. Now, we stopped immediately. I prayed a very intense and meaningful prayer for the situation, but none of the other youth had heard about the incident. So one of our seniors tried to look up the details of it. Turns out the bridge collapse took place in the 1940s. Now, I felt a little embarrassed because I had, taken some time to pray about this, but I laughed it off until the next week. The same student requested that we pray for the people of New York because some planes flew into the buildings.
Oh, man.
I had to pull a student aside and ask if she was trying to pull a prank, which she wasn't. So then I had to explain that the event had happened in the past. Well, it turns out, after a talk with her parents, that she was under the impression that YouTube was equivalent to a news channel. He dealt with that much better than I would have.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he did say, that on the spectrum, right?
Yeah,
Which is
right.
a very important detail for this story. But like, I can't say that I would have been as understanding.
Honestly, I
Or-
probably would have been like, oh wait, like what happened in New York City? I wouldn't have even thought about the Tacoma Why. I would be like, I don't watch the news, so I would have been like, oh yeah, let's pray for him.
Yeah.
I-
I would have prayed for New York City.
I was like, I didn't hear about a plane crash.
Imagine if he never took the kid aside.
Every week,
Every
just something
week,
new.
it's just a new.
I would be that guy though. I would be like, oh yeah, okay, wow, like she must this very up on current events
Yeah.
apparently is what I would think. This is from Kalina, I believe is the name. This is my most embarrassing youth ministry story. We were on our way to camp, so I was telling a group of students that when they got to the rest area, about halfway through the trip, that they needed to get out of the bus to use the bathroom, stretch their legs, and play a game. Thinking, tag, football, etc. I was so tired from several nights of 2 to 3 hours of sleep that I couldn't think of the words stretch, so I substituted it with spread. So in front of 50 middle schoolers, I said, get out of the bus, spread your legs, and play a game with one another.
Oh, man.
All right, guys, time to spread them.
Yep. All right, let's get back in the van. Let's wrap this thing up right now. We're leaving. No talking. It's mum until we get to where we're going.
That's the game.
What games did you guys play at camp? I don't know. Our youth leader made us spread our legs and play with each other.
Oh, gosh.
She kept
The
saying
start of too many bad news headlines.
She just kept saying spread them for some reason, and so I just, I was obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Oh, gosh.
If you have stories, again, email them to us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. Also, there are clips from this podcast, if you have not checked it out yet, on TikTok and Instagram. YG Chronicles is the handle. That's where we grab like the highlights of the show. So certainly check that out as well. We'll move on to a few more stories here. This is a story from Mike. Mike said, I had a youth group kid tell me that we're all genitals. I said, what? And he doubled down. He said, yep, all of us in this van are genitals. I asked him to explain the reasoning behind that. So he stated, well, we're not Jewish, so we're all genitals. I said, buddy, that word that you're looking for is Gentiles.
I wonder how many times he's prayed over somebody.
Yeah.
And he's been like, God, even though we're genitals.
God, I thank you that you loved the genitals so much.
For the Jew and the genital.
That you make salvation for us all. You can be the genital.
Slight rewrite to a lot of New Testament.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that word.
No.
So, okay, at play practice for Christmas this year, one of the people on the team was Mary, and I will leave your name out of this, but I'm pretty sure if you all saw the Christmas play, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
We were rehearsing the play, and it's when Gabriel's like, hey, you're going to give birth stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, how will this be since I'm a virgin? But what this actress said is, how can this be since I'm not a virgin? Slight rewrite to the gospel there.
It wasn't live, right?
No,
it was in
no.
practice.
It was
that
in
would have
practice.
been, that
Thank
would have been
the
funny.
Lord.
That's like blasphemy
But
at
we
the
were-
same time.
but we were like on the floor laughing, and she was like, she was a good sport about it.
This is from Brandon. Brandon said, during my first year as a youth pastor, we went to youth camp. And on the third night of camp, one of our students gave me a henna tattoo on my butt while I was asleep that said poop. I still to this day have no clue what student did it.
That's incredible.
You know what? I want to shake this man's hand.
Right? Whichever student did it, like, I want to buy you like food or something, because that's incredible.
I don't know. There's like more to this. First of all, how do you sleep through
A henna tattoo?
Like, was it like a rough weekend, dude? And you were like, you know what?
I mean,
I just gotta get a
probably.
good night's sleep. Let me like crush this up real quick. Let me just get a little extra guarantee that I'm gonna be sleeping through the night. Because how do you sleep through somebody giving you a henna tattoo on your butt cheek?
How are they sleeping?
Why is your butt cheek out?
How are they sleeping, though?
I don't know.
I don't sleep on my stomach, but I would imagine they were sleeping on their stomach.
Were they clothed?
I would imagine so.
Then how did they get the henna tattoo?
Butt cheek.
How do you sleep through somebody like pulling your underwear down?
This is not necessarily related, but here's an example of someone sleeping through like a crazy experience. So basically, I grew up at a Christian camp and I was a counselor. And during junior camp one year, I don't know, it was like the third night of camp. I would say 90% of the male counselors like met up in the middle of the night just to hang out in like the gymnasium, which is like not something you should do.
Right.
No.
But we all were like responsible. We left like one counselor in the cabin. My cabin was fine. There was like a 35-year-old guy like took care of the kids. They were all sleeping. However, my friend Hunter was left sleeping in like an 8-year-old cabin with like 28-year-olds. And all hell broke loose in that cabin. And he never woke up. He never woke up because he is the heaviest sleeper. So one of the kids goes out of the cabin, goes upstairs to like the directors and knocks on the door and says like, hey, it's crazy down here. We don't know where our counselors are. So he goes looking around the camp.
Oh my God.
And we're all just having a good time, just hanging out, talking. And we just see Joel walk in through the doors and we just go silent.
Oh, man.
It's like midnight at this point. Dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. And he goes, this is bad. This is really bad. And we all just got up.
Yep.
And walked back to our cabins, and the next day we got chewed out. Wow. But that was it was sick to your stomach feeling. But there's your example of someone sleeping through just absolute chaos.
I don't know.
It couldn't be me.
No,
couldn't be me getting a henna tattoo. Poop.
that is great.
But that's so legendary.
Don't they last for a while too, right? Aren't they like there for a couple weeks? I don't know how long they last.
It's on like the first few layers of your skin, so like the skin has to like rub off. I love it.
Anyway, we will end this on that story. Before we go, this is an announcement that we're in season 3 now of the show. So we have like a big announcement that we've been putting out on these episodes. If you haven't heard yet, Youth Group Chronicles is going on the road. And what we mean by that is we are going to do live events at conferences, at churches.
That is
basically
so cool.
Myself and a co-host will come to your event, and my co-host will blind react to stories as well as your audience and your crowd at your event. So if you want that at your church or your conference, whatever it is, email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com and we'll send you some details. We're super excited about it. But yeah, guys, check out the YouTube, Youth Group Chronicles. It's live now, TikTok, and then Instagram is at YG Chronicles. Pastor Chad, Dustin, thanks a bunch, you guys.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, this was a good one for sure.